Thank you for having me, and I don't like talking about myself. I told Joe no twice. You can see who won. He's like that. So anyways, my name is Rachel Hawley. I was a Hirschberger when I grew up. I grew up in southern Minnesota in a Schwarzentrooper Amish, and was very, very secluded and very tight-knit communities where I grew up. My grandpa moved his community from Ohio, the Worcester area, into Minnesota in like 1974, just like overnight. He packed up his family and moved. And I was born there. And I remember growing up, it was the only Amish I ever knew. There was the only Amish there. So that's all I knew. And they would talk about Sod Amish. And now I know those are Mennonites. And there's many different kinds. But that's really the only Amish that they would talk about. So I didn't even know there's this many other Amish out there. I remember one of the first times I saw a different Amish was at a hospital. And I'm like, well, who's that? And they're like, well, that's, a certain type of Amish out of Ohio. And I'm like, well, that hat is pretty funny. It wasn't the hat that my dad wore and everybody there wore. So that was probably the first time that I realized that there's many other Amish communities out there. We didn't go traveling. We didn't get to go anywhere. We were just stuck there. So that's kind of how I grew up. So I'll tell you a little bit more how I grew up. But anyways, It's hard to understand, all the different Amish when you don't see it, you're not around it, and all that kind of stuff. And we also didn't have, the temptations of maybe joining another church, because that was absolutely forbidden, when we realized later on there's other Amish, but that was forbidden. And the Schwarzentrooper Amish, you can't do that. So anyways, I left the Amish when I was 16 years old. I was saved in 2018. I stepped out of the boat in 2020. Am I done now? No. See, he keeps saying no. So how did I get here? And so I had a whole nother speech prepared that I was going to talk about. And I was actually going to talk about another story about stepping out of the boat. Who here... Oh, thank you. You were so nice. Who here knows who Chakabet is? 1, 2. Okay, there's a couple of you. So the people who raised their hands, that's the mother of Moses. And I want to talk about when she put her baby into a basket and she let him go. That's a boat she stepped out of. So the people that raised, if you don't know, the story of Moses, because I don't know if I'm going to get to it. The people who raised their hands, go to them and ask them. Because in the last 48 hours, there's been some things happening, and I feel like I do have to talk about how I got here. I was going to jump right over that and talk about Moses. Because she put her baby into a basket and she let him go, and she did not know. Jesus wasn't standing there and saying, come. She did it. She didn't know that he's going to part the sea. She didn't know he was going to rescue them from slavery and all of the things Moses did, and I would love to talk about that. I love the Old Testament. I love talking about that. But I'm going to talk about how I grew up. I grew up a little Schwarzentrooper Amish girl. Who here knows any Schwarzentrooper Amish? They're stubborn. Now you know several. We're stubborn, and it's just, I don't know. It's part of our history, I guess. Now I'm stubborn for Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I was abused when I was very young by my uncles. I lived very, very scared because I learned to stay away from them. And I had to come up with strategies to do that, but I also lived a very, very scared life. I was very, very scared. And living when you're a child and you're scared, your body goes into a flight mode. And I learned later on with all the health issues I have, if I have time, I will talk about that. But it's not good. It's not good to live that life. So if you know any children out there who are being abused and scared, please do something. Do something. Not doing anything is no longer acceptable. So through that, I was a sick child. I always got the flu first. There was 5 of us in the family. I was the second one in line. And I always said that I got the flu first, and then I also got it again at the end. I was just always sick. The doctors could never figure out, what's going on. So in my early teens, I was once again attacked and abused by neighbors, men in the community. It was not a safe place no matter what. There's lots I could say about that, but anyways, so at 16, I left, and I had a pretty big chip on my shoulder when I left. I didn't even know who Jesus was when I left. I was 16 years old. I didn't know who Jesus was because they spoke all their sermons in the language I didn't understand. I knew where church was going to be the next Sunday. That's about it. And so before I turned 17, I was naive. I left, and I thought I was going to be safe. I was groomed and abused again before I turned 17. And that's another thing that I work with children, because they need to know all the predators that are out there. They need to know their scams and how they talk and what they want from you. It's not good. So we need to educate. And so I'll talk about these posters and stuff in a little bit, but I know if I would have known about this when I was a little girl, that my life could have been very, very different. Because after I was groomed and abused again, when I left, I thought I had left all of that behind me, and I realized I'm safe nowhere. There's nowhere I'm safe. And then I became, I lived however I wanted, and I just tried to fit in. So I tried to fit in, and when you're living a life and trying to fit in, that's why I just love listening to these children over here. They already know, they already have a path. I was all over the place. There was nowhere was safe, so I just wanted to fit in, and there was a lot of things that happened. And I know that I always said, I know God. Like I did go to church every once in a while, and I found out about who Jesus was. And I said, I know about God. I'm all right. I don't need to do all these, because people would, come to me and try to talk to me, and it's because of the chip on my shoulder and all the stuff they forced into me. I wasn't listening to them. I just wasn't having it. Okay. So in 2015, my life changed dramatically. My dad got sick and he passed away. And after that, I got sick. Well, I had gone to doctors many, many times up until that point. There was something wrong with me. I knew there was, but I could never find it. 2015, after he passed away, things just kind of crashed, and I got really sick. They diagnosed me with an autoimmune disease called neurosarcoidosis. Don't try to say it. It's okay. And then in 2018, I got saved. Because through being sick and stuff, I prayed. I would pray, and here's the thing. I wasn't saved yet, but I prayed. I'm in the hospital, and they gave me a medication that gave me 3 strokes and killed my bones. I was in a wheelchair. There was a time I couldn't talk. I was a mess. And so I prayed. I prayed to Jesus, and I know he saved me, and I know he was there. Like he protected me. In ways that I can't even explain, even before I was saved. And so there's things that I would, pray for, and it came true. But the Bible, the verse, I heard a sermon on this, and this is when I was saved. And it is in Mark chapter 4, verse 11 and 12. And Jesus was sitting with his disciples, to those who were around him, and he said, "To you has been given the secret of the kingdom of God. But those on the outside, everything is in parables, so they might indeed see but not perceive. They might indeed hear but not understand, lest they should turn and be forgiven." And that stopped me. I was driving when I heard that. And I bawled my eyes out. And I was just like, Jesus is giving us a secret. When somebody says, "Hey, I have a secret," don't we all want to know what that is? Everybody wants to know what that is. And Jesus says it's a secret. Doesn't everybody want to know what that is? And I'm like, why had nobody ever said that to me? And he is saying, you will not understand me until you come to me to be forgiven. And I was like, really? That's all I have to do to understand the Bible? Because I tried to read it and it was gibberish. No, not gibberish, but you know what I mean? If you don't understand it, it is kind of gibberish. So when I read that and I came to, and I just, that's when I had my Jesus moment. I guess that was the second one I had, but that's when I was saved, because after that I could understand what I was reading. It made sense, and it just, that's my verse. Everybody has a verse. That's mine. So I get saved, and then in 2020, and I was still pretty sick, I was still healing and all that kind of stuff. I mean, going from a wheelchair, bones dying, all that stuff. Jesus was there, and he had his hand on me the whole time. I know he did, and I got better and better. And in 2020, a little 12-year-old girl in Missouri got pregnant by one of her 4 brothers. And it took me about a week before I could even talk about that. I mean, I was just angry. I was frustrated. I was confused, because I'm like, how does this happen? She's 12. And I had nowhere else to look but to God. I'm like, God, what happened? Why? And I'm just like, obviously, we are supposed to open our eyes. And I did. And I said, God, I'm listening. And I think that's when I stepped out of the boat. I'm like, no more living for me. These kids are being so abused. And so God put me on a path. And I feel like I have been leaping, not just walking, not scurrying, leaping from one thing to the next. Because it started with, I made this poster. I looked at all kinds of posters because I wanted to educate the children, because I realized that these 4 boys, they also didn't have any education. We have to educate all of them, not just the girls. We have to just across the board educate them. So I started looking at posters online, and I'm like, let's just print one out. Let's just go educate these kids. But then I realized very quickly that the posters online, the stuff that I could have printed out, they were like little boys and girls with a bathing suit on, and it said, don't touch the bathing suit, or you're underneath the bathing suit. And I'm like, the Amish kids don't wear bathing suits. It's not going to make sense to them. So I just started from scratch, and this is what we came up with. And I had some help, and I really wanted to make it very, very simple so the little Amish kids could actually understand it when they read it. Because they don't speak the language, they don't speak English. They start speaking English when they go to school. So that's first grade language. I have people reading this and going, I don't understand it. And I'm like, yeah, it's not for you. It's for little children. Get over it. So, we opposition, angry people all the time, trust me. So it went from there to, I felt like now I have the poster. Now we're going to educate the children. If they do come forward, the local authorities aren't even close to being ready for this. So I went on a journey The enemy stopped me many times, but you know what? He did not win. We made a educational video for the local officials to educate them, because when they come forward, they need to know what to do. You know, because they've been falling through the cracks, and they've been, you know, letting their family or family members or neighbors or whatever interpret for them, and they lie. Sorry. But I don't want to say too much about that part, because they do what they're taught to do, so who do you blame, you know? And we need to just change things. We have Pennsylvania Dutch interpreters now, because we're like, okay, you can't have family members interpret for you, or the neighbor or the bishop, then we have to do something. So we got Pennsylvania Dutch interpreters. We have a hotline. All of the people answering the phone on the hotline speak Dutch. So when the people call in, anybody calls in, they can understand them and talk to them. We now have safe houses, and this is kind of new. And we decided there's a 19-year-old boy that committed suicide because he was told that if he left, he would go to hell. And so I decided very quickly that we need to make safe houses that they can stay Amish in if they want to. If they're being abused and they need to get out, we'll just take them however. They don't have to cut their hair. They don't have to change their clothes. Nothing like that. So that is what this poster is like. These are on the back, by the way, and I want you guys to grab them and take them home and put them in your, put them in the grocery stores or wherever the Amish go shopping so they can see it. We had somebody call in through the hotline, and it was a gentleman who found one of these posters, and he was just asking us what it was about. And that was a poster that was hung up. A lot of the calls that are coming in are from the Amish kids who find phones. I'm not going to lie. So, and we also went and we put up a billboard. So that is in Berkholz, Ohio. That one was a fun one. The first billboard completely disappeared. We still don't know where it is. So ordered another one, and the second one we put up. And let's see. There's a lot of things coming up so quickly right now. There's a property in Ohio I may be talking about a little bit more. Like it says on here, New York, because I was there setting up safe houses. But I'm actually from Minnesota, so it's kind of confusing, but I might end up in Ohio. I don't know yet. So the property in Ohio, yep, I'll talk about that maybe in a little bit. Something that just came up yesterday. I was here, and I decided to take a little break, and I went out in my car, and I was just relaxing a little bit, and my phone rings. And the phone came in with the area code of a case that we have been working with in Wisconsin, and I'm like, probably somebody from there, and I answered it. And it was the sheriff, somebody from the sheriff, and they are asking us to come and educate them. So I think we're going to do that. We made the video, but the video is, you can sit and watch it, but they want us to actually come there and do a presentation and talk about all the different things, because when that case came about and I was talking to them, I would tell them, it's a possibility that he will confess. And I said that they will actually punish the person who is reporting it more than the person who did this abuse. And he was abusing his daughter. And he's like, this sounds like the Twilight Zone. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but this is just kind of how it happens. And then after they went out and talked to him, and he did confess, and they put him in jail, he called me back, and he's like, yeah, what you said all came true. And I think that's why now they're reaching out and they're saying they do want some more education. That's actually the second time that we were asked to do education. The first time I'm like, yeah, somebody just trying to be nice. Oh, and that's the thing. We go around and we drop off packets to all the sheriff's stations, and we have this information in it. I should have brought a packet down, but I didn't. They're out by the little table. If anybody wants a packet to take to your county, please let me know, because I'll give you a packet. And it's just, it has this stuff in it. And I talk to them about this. I'm like, if you ask a little child, a little Amish child, if they have been abused, they're going to say no, because they don't know what it means. So we have to we have to educate them on how to do it and how to do it right. So that was the second time I was asked, and I'm going to take this one seriously, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it. So I'm not sure who's going to do the training yet, but we'll figure it out. I skipped over some things. When I was living my life in doing whatever I wanted, and I wasn't a Christian at all. I thought I knew God, and I thought I was doing well. I got married, and he was a cheater. And I tried to, for many years, I forgave him, and we'd have, an okay time again until he would do it again. And then one day, I got a phone call from his dad. It would have been my father-in-law. And he told me that he has a whole nother life with another woman, with a child, a dog, the house, the whole works. And that time I was done. I was done. My name is Hawley. A lot of people wonder about that, and that is that little story right there. So I do want to talk about the last 48 hours. There has been a storm. There has been a storm. There are a lot of naysayers, a lot of people who do not like what we do, and they come up against us. And I had to kind of fill in a little bit. Joe, I filled him in a little bit. Right now, there's a storm going through, and my team that I have answering the phones, they're on the front lines. They're on the front lines handling this while I'm here, while this is happening. Malin has been attacked. Eli Yoder is being attacked. Amish Rescue Mission is being attacked. But this person that's attacking us, she also helps. She was a victim, very, very, very abused. She's also reaching out and helping other people. But we see things differently, and we were kind of working together until she saw that Joe and I were friends on Facebook, and he had went the January 6th. What was it even called?
A gathering.
The January 6th gathering in Washington. She saw that we were friends, and then after that, that's when she started attacking us with everything and anything that she could find. And this week, she decided to do it again. So, Joe and I are still going to be friends. Attack away. So these are the naysayers. We call them the naysayers. There's many, many of them. Because if you don't go along with them, they try to shut you up. And also, we have tried to help people. People have reached out to us, and they have lied just so that we would help them. People have reached out and said, I'm being abused. And when we really start digging and really get down, they're just unhappy. They got themselves in a situation, and now they don't like it. I can go into details about some of those situations. They're quite silly sometimes, but our mission is to help the children who are being abused right now. They're being abused right now today. There's so many that are, abused last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. But our focus is right now, and that's what we try to tell them. And so they will lie and they will say they're being abused right now. And I have spent days and countless hours trying to help some of these people who have reached out. One comes to mind. She's in her 40s. And when I'm talking about countless hours trying to find her a home, I would find one, and then I would basically connect them to, because at that age, you want to connect them to. They don't really need me anymore. This is somebody who reached out to us, said they want to help. How about you see if it's a good fit? That's too far away. All right, then I'll find another one. That's also in a different county that I don't want. And then they don't let me smoke in the house. And there's just all of these things. And then they go out, and now they say that we don't rescue people, we lie, all that kind of stuff. Because I found her 6 different places, and none of them were good enough. Those are the people that we call the naysayers, because then they come up against us. And I'm sure, Joe, you know, there's people that no matter what you do, they're going to just come against us. And I have a Bible verse that I want to read. It's Luke 9:49 through 50. And it says, and this is I'm talking about the people that we work with that we just can't see eye to eye on. And this verse always comes to mind. John answered, "Master, we saw someone casting out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him, but he does not follow us." And Jesus said to him, "Do not stop him, for the one who is not against us is for us." And so we don't always have to see eye to eye on things. We don't always have to agree. I see people bigger and just, the keyboard warriors, we're in a war right now, and it's behind the keyboards and stuff. How they lash out at one another it just hurts. And it's like, I go to this verse right now. We're not always going to say the same things. We're not always going to line up. But he says, if they're not against us, leave them alone. So that's my thing. Oh yeah, people always want to sue us. Another Bible verse that I want to bring out is John 13. Let's find that one. Yeah. Okay. One more thing. We are commanded to keep every thought captive. Every thought. Not the ones we want, not what the ones we think we should. And when he says captive, that means we are in control of it. We decide its destiny. If it's not from God, crush it. That's it.